Howdy, and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Today we got an Airfix kit from a British TV show known as Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. This was a super marionation show from the late 60s. And Airfix made a kit of this that was quite popular for a number of years. So this particular issue is from 1973. The original issue of this kit was 1968. It's kit number 02026-8 that replaced the kit number 256 from the earlier issues, and Airfix went to a new numbering system. But on this particular kit, it does have both of those codes and catalog numbers on there. So it goes by both on this issue of it. It is in a 1/72nd scale, and this is the Angel Interceptor. So Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons was another one of the Jerry and Sylvia Anderson Super Marionation shows. This was, I think, like the 8th of 10 different shows that they made. This came after the Thunderbirds series, and if you're not familiar with the Super Marionation, those are those kind of puppets, marionette puppets that they would use to make a TV show. They were fantastic in the model building that they would do, the animation that they would get out of these marionette puppets. Just a fantastic series of shows that were very popular in England and Europe, and some of the shows made it over to the States. Well, weren't quite as popular here, kind of a cult show here, but they still have a big fan following to this day. So this particular series of Captain Scarlet ran for 32 episodes. They were 25-minute episodes, and they ran from 1967 to 1968. The show itself, the lore of the show was that it was set in 2068, and it was mainly about a war between Mars and Earth. There was an accidental attack by some astronauts on a Mars city where the Mysterons were living, and that resulted in them, attacking Earth. So the Angel Interceptors were created as a way to defend against the Mysterons when they were attacking Earth. So the Angel Interceptor itself was a single-seat supersonic fighter, and it was used by the Spectrum organization, which was kind of the unifying group of Earth countries to defend Earth against the Mysterons. They were stationed aboard a floating cloud carrier called the Cloud Base. The original writer of the series thought about the difficulties that the fighter pilots during the Battle of Britain had in defending against the Germans. Was getting up to the right altitude. So his idea was, well, hey, we'll just put the planes up at the altitude, so that way that cuts the intercept time. So the Angel Interceptors were flown by 5 members of a group called Angel Flight. They were all female pilots, and they were named Melody, Symphony, Rhapsody, Destiny, and Harmony. So I was able to locate some images of them, and also of some production shots from the show. So I'll show those to you here. All right, now let's get into the kit itself. So this is typical of the early 70s Airfix boxings. What I did findings that still has the original hobby shop price tag on it from Archer's Hobby World of $2. And then you've got information about the glue or the paints to use. There's the logo for Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons as featured on TV. And this has got the Associated Television licensing of 1967, which is when the show was on. And the other side, similar as well. On these smaller boxes, if you notice, they've got this perforated area here. So this kind of replaced the hanging bags from the 50s and 60s. So you could punch this out and then hang this little box on those same carousel pegs from the earlier era. And then on the end, we've got the catalog information number, repeat of the top box art, and same thing on that end, and nothing on the bottom. This is one of the lighter weight folding boxes. And let's get inside. I believe this artwork was done by Roy Cross, but don't hold me to that, but I think that is a Roy Cross job. So inside, we've got ad for some Airfix games. Airfix did other stuff besides models. So there's a couple of games they did. And a mail away if you've got problems with the kit itself. Another ad for some other games and toys. Guess I thought this type of kit would be appealing to people outside of modeling, so they were advertising other stuff besides model kits. And we've got our instructions and decals. We'll put those aside. So there's a little bit of information about the Angel Interceptor. It was developed from a different Viper jet. Here's some weights and specifications. Each aircraft cost 1.25 million pounds. So a lot of background into the lore of the aircraft. And we've got fuselage and wing assembly. A lot of stuff all in one step here. And then your final assembly is putting the landing gear on it, which is these little pods and little nose canards. And there's also a color guide for painting. White and red were the only two colors it showed. All right. Then for the decals, yellowed a little bit. So it looks like we got a stripe from down the back, tail markings, and then the Spectrum organization markings. They don't give you a decal for the large A that's on the bottom of the body, or the wings, body and wings, I guess. So apparently you're supposed to paint that on, and it says that there's a large engraved A on the underside. So I guess that was your painting guide to do that, as opposed to giving you a big giant decal. So now let's look at the kit. So we got some fuselage halves here. Go together. I always thought this had kind of an F5 Freedom Fighter look to it. I wonder if they use that as the kind of basis for developing this kit. But not too bad of a fit. And there's your undersurface. There's a slot for a stand. And it's got fairly delicate raised panel lines. There are some sinkholes, or sink marks, I should say, on the back side of some of the pins. Kind of unfortunate spot for that. And then we've got, let's take a look at our wings. So on this tree here, one's come off. Same thing again, raised panel lines. A little bit of sink marking. Other surfaces. The wing, you can kind of see where the line is, designate for the large A that they're wanting you to paint on there. I think that's actually on the bottom of the fuselage as well. Yeah, there's part of the A right there. So it's that. You do get a instrument panel, a few instruments, tiny little seat, and you do get a pilot figure. Doesn't have blonde flowing hair coming out the back though, unfortunately. But kind of a nice figure. That'd be a good figure to use for another kit maybe. There's our stand. Small Airfix typical stand. Some other parts. There's landing skids. There's the top of the T-tail. Or I'm sorry, no, that's the canard part. There's a grill here from the inside where the engine area is. And there's the air scoops. And here's the T-tail. A couple of injector pin marks. Fortunately, they're on the bottom. And some more of the fine raised panel lining. Pretty delicate. And finally, the cockpit canopy. This has got fairly well-defined framing, so make it easier to paint. It is very, kind of got a lot of distortion on the top. Somewhat thick, but it's typical of Airfix of this period. So there you have it. Not a lot to this kit. Can't really speak too much for the accuracy on it. I'm not a big Captain Scarlet aficionado, so can't really speak too highly on it, but looks pretty close to some of the images that I found online. So this kit, as I mentioned, was very popular in the Airfix line. They issued it quite a number of times. The initial one in 68. There was 72, 73, 75, 78, then 1980. Then it kind of disappeared for a while. But it did get reintroduced again in 2011. The 1980 version of it, I believe, was a snap-tight kit. So they did convert this into a snap-tight for one of the later issues. There was a couple of issues of this from Airfix Kiko, which is the Brazil licensed agent for Airfix in Brazil. They had one in the 70s and one in the 80s. As far as other kits go, the main other producer for Captain Scarlet stuff was a Japanese company called IMAI, or MI maybe. It looked like it's all capital letters, so it's maybe initials for something. They produced this various different versions of the vehicles from the Captain Scarlet series all throughout the late 60s, 70s, up through 80s and 90s as well. And then Aoshima also produced a version of this kit in, I believe, the early 2000s. So there's probably quite a number of these out there if you're interested in building it. If you have built this thing, definitely tell us about it. If you remember the TV series, let us know about that. And as always, if you got any pictures of a built model of one of these, send that in so we can include it with our next viewer build video. The email address is in the channel description, so send that in for us so we can show off your work. Well, that's it for today. As always, thanks for watching, and have yourselves a great rest of your day.